Baltz families, to this week's Sunday Storytime. Get ready to mark your calendars with this week's news and upcoming events. This is followed by a news story for the week. I can't wait to find out what it is. Then you can practice the Mindful Minute strategy with our school counselors, Miss Yorick and Mr. Toy. Stay tuned. In this week's events at Baltz, there is also no school on Monday, September 26th in recognition of Rosh Hashanah.
También no hay escuela el lunes 26 de septiembre en celebración de Rosh Hashanah.
Back to School Night is happening on Tuesday, September 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. This is an in-person event, and we are looking forward to welcoming you into our classrooms so that you can learn more about the curriculum and have a glimpse into what your child does each day.
Noche de regreso a la escuela será el martes 27 de septiembre de 6 a 8 p.m. Este es un evento en persona. Esperamos que pueda visitar el salón de su estudiante, conocer el currículum y qué es lo que hace su estudiante diariamente.
The last week of September is MTSS Spirit Week. On Monday, there is no school, but Tuesday, we're going to celebrate with Spirit Day. Wear your Baltz wear. Wednesday's Mismatch Day. Mix up something. Try to wear some mismatched pieces of your outfit. Thursday is Crazy Hat or Hair Day. And Friday is Color Wars. Kindergartners all wear red, first graders orange, second grade yellow, third grade green, fourth grade blue, and fifth grade purple.
En la última semana de septiembre tendremos la semana de celebración de MTSS. El lunes no habrá clases. El martes los estudiantes pueden ponerse ropa con el logo de nuestra escuela. El martes pueden ponerse una ropa que no combine. Trata de mezclar su atuendo. El jueves pueden ponerse un gorro loco o hacerse un peinado loco. El viernes es día de colores. Estudiantes de kinder deberán de ponerse ropa de color rojo. El primer grado, naranja. Segundo grado, amarilla. Tercer grado, verde. Cuarto grado, azul. Quinto grado, morado.
Good evening, Baltz families, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Storytime. My name is Denise Zuniga, and tonight I will be reading Sonia Sotomayor, A Judge Grows in the Bronx. The reason I chose to read this today is because I will never forget the day Sonia Sotomayor was nominated and confirmed by the Senate to serve on the Supreme Court. So I vividly remember my mom, my grandma, and my daughter that was born that year, and they were so overwhelmed with joy because someone from the Bronx, where my mama grew up, was now on the highest court. So it was just a day that I would never forget. 4 generations in one room, and they were just so happy that you saw tears in their eyes. So it just made us super happy that a Latina from the Bronx was now on the Supreme Court. So here I go. You never know what can happen. Sometimes the most beautiful moonflower blossoms in an unexpected place, on a chain link fence near broken glass, next to an abandoned building, watered by someone whose name you may not even know. And sometimes the most amazing person blossoms in such a place as well. So it was with a little girl named Sonia. Her blossoming began with her mother's love and hard work. Oh, how Sonia's mother loved her. She worked night and day and night, as a switchboard operator just so she can pay for Sonia and her brother's private schools. She had never made it past the 3rd grade when she was a girl, but she sure wanted her children to. They lived in a public housing project in part of New York called the South Bronx, a place where most people had precious little money. And Sonia's family was no different, with only their mother to support them. You see, Sonia's father had died when she was 9 years old, leaving just an empty chair and much sadness. But you can't give in to sadness when your children need to eat. This is why Sonia's mother worked and then came home and cooked pork chops To Sonia, this was heaven. Oh, how she loved her mother. When Sonia's mother wasn't cooking or working, she was studying. She wanted to become a nurse so she could make better wages and help her children even more. While Sonia slept, sometimes her mother stayed up until midnight doing her homework. There was nothing she would not do to help Sonia or her brother. Sonia loved the world her mother gave her. Her mother and father were from Puerto Rico, and Sonia grew up surrounded by the taste and sounds of Puerto Rican culture. A favorite meal was Spanish rice and beans, and she loved the big family parties where merengue music filled the air. Arriba! On Saturday nights, Sonia's family and friends would get together. While the grown-ups sat in one room playing dominoes, Sonia and her cousins played Loteria, a Latin American bingo game. Sonia's abuelita would shout out the numbers while the grandkids marked their cards with chickpeas. Sonia's family surrounded her like a warm blanket. And she was also surrounded by books, school books, library books, a set of encyclopedias her mother had saved all her pennies and nickels and dimes to buy. And when the schoolwork was done, they were her favorite books, the Nancy Drew mystery novels. Nancy Drew was a girl detective who was always on the go. Solving crimes, she was unstoppable. That's who Sonia wanted to be. But then, something happened that made her change her mind. When she was only 8, the doctor sat her down and told her some bad news. She had a disease called diabetes. If you have diabetes, you have to take several shots of medicine a day for the rest of your life. So maybe she wouldn't be Nancy Drew, but that didn't mean she couldn't be unstoppable. Her favorite TV show was Perry Mason, about a courtroom lawyer. One episode ended with the image of a judge, the most powerful person in the courtroom. A light bulb went on above Sonia's head, and she knew she would become a judge. Becoming a judge, though, that's not easy. Sonia knew she had to get really good grades to become a judge. So while all the other kids may have been goofing off, Sonia was studying at her mother's kitchen table, year after year after year after year. It paid off. By the time she graduated high school, she had won an award for being the very best student in her whole school. What an honor! You can't imagine how proud her mother was. This was her daughter, her Sonia. Ay bendito, what an honor. Sonia's grades were so good that she was accepted at one of the very best colleges in America, Princeton University. This too was an honor. But Princeton was not the Bronx. Where were the subways? Where was the merengue music? Where were the people who looked like her? For the first time in her life, Sonia felt scared and shy and very out of place, almost like she was on a different planet. During her first week, she heard a cricket in her dorm room and it scared her. What was this strange insect? As it turns out, it wasn't in her room but on a tree outside her window. Growing up in the projects, Sonia never had a tree outside her window. And growing up in the projects, Sonia never had the sorts of luxuries her classmates took for granted. Most of the Princeton kids had grown up taking tennis lessons and vacationing in Europe. They went skiing over Christmas break. Many of their parents and grandparents had gone to Princeton too. Suddenly, Sonia was aware of being poor, of feeling inferior. Where was the warm, comfy blanket of her family? Oh, how she missed them. In similar shoes, some people may have gone back home, but Sonia was like a flowering vine that would not stop growing. She would not just survive this strange new world, she would thrive. She would spend her first summer break reading all the books she'd never had time to read before, to make herself even smarter. She would become the head of a club for the handful of Latino students at Princeton. She would push herself to her limits, studying day and night and day at the library, and graduate with the highest honors of any student in her class. Success comes to those who make the most of the chances they are offered in life. Sonia did become a judge, and a good judge too. She was known for working very hard and always being very prepared for every trial. She was also known for having no patience for lawyers who weren't prepared. You better not mess with Judge Sonia. Yet she was known for much more than this. Unlike many judges, she had grown up in poverty. She had grown up as a New Yorican, a child of Puerto Rican parents. She had seen things most other judges had not. People she'd grown up with had gone to jail. People she'd grown up with were poor, and many of them weren't as lucky as she had been. They had trouble learning to speak English, trouble finding jobs. Unlike many judges, she knew firsthand what prejudice was, what it was to be judged for your background. In the world of judges, this made Sonia very special. Oh, but Sonia, the very special judge, did not stop there. No. You see, Sonia was offered the chance of a lifetime. She was invited to the White House by none other than President Barack Obama because President Obama had decided to nominate Sonia to the best job a judge could possibly have, to be a Supreme Court justice. Justice is a fancy word for judge. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the nation. Supreme Court decisions help shape the law of the land. This was huge. There had never been a Latin American on the Supreme Court. How strange this was. There are so many people of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and Cuban descent adding color to the great garden that is America. Why shouldn't all these people have someone who understands their lives on the Supreme Court? She was one of the most respected judges in the country. She was the perfect choice. This was an honor beyond anything Sonia in all her beautiful flowering had ever imagined. But at the announcement ceremony, Sonia spoke about her mother rather than herself. I have often said that I am all I am because of her, and I am only half the woman she is. Then, speaking straight to her mother in the audience, she said, I thank you for all that you have given me and continue to give me. Her mother cried and cried. This was her daughter. It wasn't over though. There were some bumps on the path to the Supreme Court, a broken ankle which didn't slow her down one bit, and angry people calling Sonia names like racist, just because she was proud to be a Latina judge and not ashamed to say it. And days of tough questions from a panel of 19 senators, a row of white faces, most of them male. But this didn't stop her. Nothing could stop Sonia, the dynamo from the Bronx, from making history as the nation's first Latin American Supreme Court Justice. Ay bendito. You never know what can happen, especially when you water a flower. I left out that if you ask my daughter what college she wants to go to, she will tell you she wants to go to Princeton University. And that is because ever since we found out that Sonia went there, my mom has always told her that's where she's going. So, thanks for watching, and don't forget to tune in next week for another episode of Sunday Storytime. Bye, friends.
Hi Baltz Bears, welcome back to another episode of Mindful Minute.
This week we're going to be talking about the difference between small problems and big problems.
Small problems you can handle on your own and your reaction does not need to be big.
Big problems you need an adult to help solve this problem. To figure out if it is a small or big problem, ask yourself these 3 questions.
Is someone hurt?
Is it against the law? Is it dangerous? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, it's a big problem. Go find a trusted adult. You can solve a small problem by using one of the Kelso's choices from the wheel.
A small problem is a problem that you can handle yourself. An example would be someone in your class is making noises while the teacher is teaching, and you're trying to listen. You can use a Kelso's choice to help you solve that problem. A Kelso's choice that you could use to help you solve that small problem would be to tell them to stop. A big problem is something that's dangerous or against the law, or maybe someone's getting hurt. An example of a big problem would be On your way home from school, you see a neighbor's dog in the middle of the road. It's a busy street and you're worried that the dog will get hurt. This will be a big problem because it's dangerous. Get an adult to help you solve this problem.
Now that we know what a small and a big problem is, we want you to use Kelso's choices for your small problems. When you see Miss Yurick or Mr. Toy in the hallway, let us know what Kelso's choice you used to help solve your small problems.
Thanks for watching another episode of Mindful Minute. We'll see you next week. Go Bronx!
Hey Bolts Bears, it's Miss Persani with this week's big question. In this week's Mindful Minute, Miss Yurick and Mr. Toy talked about Kelso's choices and the difference between small problems and big problems. Here's your big question. What is an example of a small problem that you may face during the school day? Tell us which Kelso's choice you would use to solve that problem. Don't forget to go to booksrock.org and submit your answers. And remember, small problems are problems that you can solve on your own. But if it's a big problem, make sure to tell a trusted adult. Hey guys, it's Miss Persani. Don't forget to like and share this video. And also, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss another episode. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, you rock. In 5, 4, 3.
You never know what can happen. Sometimes the most beautiful... Nope. By the time she graduated high school, I think I skipped a page. One episode ended with the most... And growing up in the projects, Sonia had never... Nope. And growing up in the projects, Sonia had... People she'd grown up with had gone to jail. People she'd grown up... They'd had been in trouble